Hello, people of the internet. My name is JD Shadow, and this is something that I'm pretty sure you're going to see happen at some point. You're actually going to see this, and it's no surprise. However, I do feel so. It's not good either way, no matter if you saw it coming or if you were completely blind to what was about to happen. In case you are not aware, if you're not following this, Troy Leavitt was quote-unquote ousted by Liam Robinson of Did You Know Gaming as having a YouTube channel which had what they believe was problematic stuff on it. Now, we didn't think there was any problematic stuff on it, and everything seemed tame to the rest of us, but to certain people, he could have been viewed as somebody who was problematic from that alone. So our question was, what was his crime? What was the whole idea behind it? Some people are kind of picking up on the notion that he was a lead developer, or is the lead developer. WB Games is again telling these people to go get bent on Hogwarts Legacy, which is a problematic game because it is in the universe of Harry Potter, and we all know who wrote Harry Potter. And to be quite honest, I get it about J.K. Rowling, and her viewpoints are not exactly those I agree with, but at the same time, I'm not going to punish every single person who has ever worked on Harry Potter or anything related to it just because somebody has some viewpoints I disagree with. That is not going to happen. Apparently, ResetEra thinks otherwise. Because what you're seeing right now is a admin post, a quote-unquote official staff communication. Now remember what ResetEra is. We've been talking about it for quite some time, but I do believe that not enough people are taking their influence and their danger to video gaming extremely seriously, or as seriously as they should be. And there are many things that they have done should tell you that there's something going on here, and they should not have this much power in order to influence the video game industry to take certain actions. However, they keep doing this on the daily. They did this with Cyberpunk 2077, and you can be sure that CD Projekt Red's only real crime toward them was that they called them out. Now, to be fair, CD Projekt Red has some things they need to answer for when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077. They have not fixed the whole thing with the brain dance thing. It is still seizure inducing, if I am hearing that correctly. I refuse to play the game unless they take a good long look at that particular aspect of the game and other aspects of the game which might cause some issues to some photosensitive people. Can we please revisit that, people who are making videos on that? Can we please revisit that situation? But now we have this. This is from Hecht, and from what I'm seeing, he has a few skeletons in his closet and some problematic things that he has said. So this comes very ironically coming from someone like this guy. However, if you are not able to read this, I will go and read this for you, saying, quote, so this is a uniquely, how about uniquely awful situation where both the creator of the IP and a senior producer on the game have unrepentant bigoted views. Unrepentant? What does that mean, first of all? And bigoted views according to who? You? You think anybody who does not think exactly like you on social justice issues is a bigoted person. Let's not kid ourselves. You use that as a weapon to silence ideological viewpoints. Let's not kid ourselves here. You are not going to think that we are stupid here. The team has talked it over at length, and as a result, we've decided to implement a total ban on threads for promotional media for the game. This means there will be no threads for trailers or official announcements, no hype threads, no fluff pieces about its features. This functionally bans almost all threads leading up to the release unless there are major new developments about the controversy or something along those lines. This is the first time we've done something like this, and we consider this a very exceptional case. It's not just one bigoted game designer that made the difference here. J.K. Rowling's singular reach and influence, how closely that influence is tied to the Harry Potter IP, and what she chooses to do with that power is a unique problem on top of this latest controversy. We're going to revisit whether to have an OT much closer to the game's release, learning from what happened with Cyberpunk. If there is an OT, it will have a text-only OP created by staff that lays out the controversy with the game and IP. The main reason to have an OT at all is the same one we've articulated before. Some minority members want a space to discuss the game's contents where they will not be shouted down by bigots. For now though, we're definitely not going to be platforming the marketing. If you see any threads for that stuff, please report them. If you're unsure about a thread you want to post, please contact the staff first to check before creating it. Well, this is laughable. A total ban on threads. That basically means that they're not gonna have anything positive about the game on their forum. The only thing that they are allowed to talk about where they're not gonna be risk being banned permanently is if they talk about this controversy. A controversy which is a non-starter, a non-controversy, something that is an ideological difference, and I've said this before on the other video. There is absolutely no crime Leavitt has done. What has he done? They're calling him a bigoted game designer. Based on what exactly? What are they basing that on? The notion that he called out Anita Sarkeesian, somebody who's easy to call out because he called out the lack of transparency in video game media, something that had needed to be called out for years and has been called out for years, way before the certain controversy that you feel as though you have to bring up every single time you get the opportunity in order to shove it in our faces? Is that what you're talking about here? Because if that is, then sorry, but that's a non-starter. We are allowed to criticize Anita Sarkeesian. We are allowed to criticize her work and not be called bigoted because we're calling out her work. We are allowed to criticize the indie developers that you're calling your friends and the media who you're calling your allies. Keep in mind, if this was just a random forum on the internet, then this would mean absolutely nothing. This would be just a flash in the pan. This would be a drop in the bucket. This would be nothing to write home about. But keep in mind that ResetEra has media journalists. It has video game developers who not only agree with them post to the site, but also will regurgitate these viewpoints onto other places, onto other outlets, in such a way that the mainstream public will be able to somehow digest all of this in a way that it seems to be tame to them, tame enough in order for them to buy it, while not understanding, not realizing, or maybe not caring that it's coming from a fringe outlet that does stuff like this. And didn't the developers of Hogwarts Legacy actually come out in public and say that J.K. Rowling has no influence on this game? Did ResetEra kind of forget this? Did ResetEra just decide that, hey, she has influence anyway on the game that they actually said that she didn't have influence on? Is the fact that it's a Harry Potter game that is in that universe enough to say that she is an influence? And it deserves for them to deplatform the game, a game in which several thousand people are working on. Keep in mind that it's not just the senior game developer. It is not just Miss Rowling, who, by the way, she has not actually apologized to PewDiePie for her thinking that he was anti-Semitic. Let's not forget all that. Yeah, that was the same person who tried to say that PewDiePie was anti-Semitic alongside ResetEra, so they have something in common there, but whatever. But there's a ton of different people who are working on the game, and the game looks fantastic on the PS5 right now from the trailers we're seeing. Are you telling me that they don't deserve to have some form of recognition just because of what you believe are bigoted viewpoints that only you believe are offending viewpoints? The only thing that was offensive about those viewpoints was that they didn't agree with you on ideological issues. But here's the other thing about all of this, is that did anybody seem surprised that ResetEra was going to take this position? Did anybody else seem shocked that they were going to do this? They was going to have a staff meeting about this game. They said, oh, we're going to take this seriously. We're going to talk about this. Did anybody actually think that there was going to be any kind of different viewpoint in that room? Keep in mind, this is a website that has purged anybody who thinks even a fraction of an opposing viewpoint to what they say. We have seen banned reasons from them that will make you go absolutely insane. That is beyond the pale. Like, they'll see things that are racist or homophobic in these posts that no one would ever cross their mind and think that they were even close to that. And they will use reasons that many people say, wait, what does that mean? What does this actually mean? What does that mean dismissing whatever it was? That's where we're at. And the way that this is continuing, even though we have seen countless times that ResetEra has gone beyond the pale and has been able to influence the decisions that these games have taken. And no one takes attention to this in a consistent and a serious way is baffling. The way that they are lockstep in with people like Kotaku, like Polygon, like all of these different news outlets that decided to pick up on this one tweet from Leanne Robinson over a YouTube channel that was not secret. Troy Leavitt has this on his Twitter account. He links it to his Twitter account. WB Games already knows it exists. They've already talked to it with him. They said it was okay, full speed ahead. They know this. What are you telling them that they don't know already? We already know it exists. The one thing that you are trying to do, and this is so obvious, is to get him fired so the game doesn't come out. So the game becomes in limbo because they don't like the person who is at the driver's seat of Harry Potter. So they're going to punish tens of thousands of people who are working on the game just because they want to get back at one person or maybe two people because Troy Leavitt said things they didn't like. So did you think for one measly second that there was going to be any opposition to what this decision was going to be? Did you even think for 1 second there was going to be any opposing viewpoint to what the hive mind was going to think here? This was going to be an absolute joke. They'll probably all get together and like the 12 angry men in the juror room in that play, they were going to all think the same way. Maybe one person would be holding everybody up, say, hey, wait a minute, let's look at the evidence. But there wasn't even that. That was the whole difference between this and the 12 angry men. They all got into rooms, said, how are we going to say this? How are we going to word this to where it makes sense to the every person, to the every gamer? As if they believe that the word gamer is not a 4-letter word by now. It probably already is, and probably already been banned on the forum. Again, I want to bring this to everybody's attention. No forum should have this much power. And the people who are making those hit pieces that came out, quite frankly, one after the other, all in lockstep with each other as if they were all in on the whole conspiracy. There is no reason why these people should have this much power in order to change things, to ruin lives. What is it going to take for somebody to take this situation, this problem seriously? What is it going to take? What is it going to have to be said in order for someone, anyone, to actually take it seriously and actually campaign in order to get something done about ResetEra? Yes, we've known countless times what they're all about, the kind of bans that they make, the people who they purge from their Rolodex just so they can continue to live in their echo chamber. But this is ridiculous. How many more times is this going to happen before we say enough and we say something to these people saying, hey, if you are going to listen to ResetEra, we are not going to buy your game. If you're going to bow the knee to these people who have threatened people, who have doxed people, who have done countless other things to several people in the gaming industry, we are not going to buy your game. Again, if it was just a random forum, if it was just someplace there are some people band together and just say, hey, we're not going to give this game any attention. Okay, it's silly, it's stupid for somebody to do that, but you know what? It's just a normal forum. They don't have any influence. ResetEra has influence within the gaming industry because the people who are within the blogosphere give them that kind of attention. And so they have significant influence, and there is no reason why they should have that kind of influence. Why do they? Who do they have as our friends in the gaming industry that are that high up, that can give them whatever they want? that can let them get away whatever they want, that can blacklist whoever they want. And if you wanted the game to get attention, congratulations, you made a self-fulfilling prophecy. Although you're probably going to call all of them bigots because they bought the game, a game which only you think is going to be spearheaded by someone who you called a bigoted person. And I'm talking about Troy Leavitt. And let's be quite honest, we all know why you think he's bigoted. It has nothing to do with him joining any kind of place you think was a cult or anything like that. It was because he called people out on nepotism and lack of transparency. And all anyone had to do was to say, hey, we're going to fix things to make sure that the end user, the consumer, is going to be protected from these kinds of corporate meddling affairs. And instead, you want to partake in that yourself, so you are trying to oust the people who are calling you out. That is all this is. And it has continued since 2010, it's continued since 2014, it's continued all throughout to right now, and it's still happening, and this is the direct example of this. And yes, the late Total Biscuit did call you out on it, but the second that he passed away, God bless his soul, God rest his soul, that was all it took for you people to say, okay, yes, he's dead, let's go back to what we were doing. No, that's not how this works. There are several people who make YouTube channels, who make YouTube videos. There are several people within the gaming industry who have been influenced by him enough in order to do the same thing, to do his work for him in his wake. And this here is a direct example of someone going absolutely too far and having their power unchecked. This is what happens, and we need to call them out on that. We need to take ResetEra completely seriously about this, because they're going to destroy the gaming industry if they continue to do this. This is not about whether or not something can be diverse or not. Of course it can. Who the hell is saying it can't? But when you have something like this happen on a site that has that much influence, and yes, they have that much influence, we've been proven that this does have that much influence, then this is beyond the pale. And notice I'm not saying, oh, well, I'm not a bigoted person, I'm not this and I'm that. We should all know this. We shouldn't have to tell people that, because they should see this for what it is. This is transparent, and yet people are going to buy into it because we have to be smarter than this. Somehow we're not. Somehow we're not smart enough to catch this. This is plain as day of what they're doing. They're trying to cancel somebody from an ideological different viewpoint because he had the gall to do what anybody within the media should be doing, which is be pro-consumer. They are trying to bend the knee to corporate elitism. They're trying to bend the knee for those people who are giving them financial backing, and they're trying to return the favor by trying to get blacklisted those people who dare to call them out and to remain pro-consumer in order to call out things when the consumer gets ripped off. That is absolutely despicable, and ResetEra needs to be held accountable. And congratulations, ResetEra, you've fulfilled a self-fulfilling prophecy, because hey, maybe I'll take a look at the game as well. Not just because you said this, not because you were so stupid to not think that we would pick up on this, but also the game actually looks kind of good. And we were thinking about buying it before you guys decided to make this into your next Cyberpunk 2077 freakout. But guess what? Welcome to what pushes you over the edge, what pushes you over that fence. Done it again, ResetEra. NeoGAF is 10 times better without any of you people within it. You are gaming terrorists. May you burn under a hot, flaming sun. My name is JD Shadow. That just happened.